Thanks to everyone that's come out. Thank you for having me. I mean, how exciting is this? I'm in the Carolinas during March Madness week. I think if they held this event on Friday, it would just be kind of me and Ken, the sound guy here. Speaking of that, though, I once heard that there's proof that God is a Tar Heel fan because he painted the sky Carolina blue. Is that true? Is it true? Yeah. Cheer or boo. The reason I make that statement is because major colleges and universities have gone beyond just building their alumni bases and sports fan bases. What they're really doing is building brands, and these brands elicit an emotional connection. If you went to Duke, boy, were you offended by what I just said, maybe. But and vice versa. So what we're going to talk about today is the importance of building a brand and playing on emotion as it relates to your B2B customers. So before we go into that, I think the first thing I want to talk about is just establish how our customers are making decisions. I think we've all seen some version of this, which is known often as the purchase funnel, but basically going from awareness to research, and then at the end you purchase. And I've shown this slide hundreds of times probably, but what we've realized in the last couple of years is that this linear approach no longer holds true. The path to purchase is much more sophisticated. Our customers are much more discerning. And most importantly, purchase is not an end goal. Everyone's got a voice, right? With all the different social media places, heck, there's blogs about just one very specific niche vertical where everyone can be heard. And that's important because now in this purchase cycle, and not just a purchase path, the purchase cycle, we're going beyond just learning about brands, learning about products, moving our way to purchase. We have the power now to advocate for these brands like we've never had before. So I think it's important to think about that because it complicates the way that you may interact with your key customers. But I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that complicated, and we'll get through this together. So how can you make an impact? First of all, we all know this, successful campaigns, it's not just selling stuff, it's not just creating extra noise. A lot has been said and written about Google Glass. And the only thing I'm going to say here is something to consider is that once you have a computer that's only a few centimeters from your frontal lobe, we talk about not wanting unwanted noise, junk mail, pop-ups, et cetera, before. Now people are even more focused. So technology is moving more and more toward a way that basically we want only the messages that are relevant to us. And we're starting to expect that from really all the companies that want our business. And I really should start off by saying I'm a big proponent. I've been working in the B2B space for several years, but I'm a big proponent of the idea that companies don't buy from other companies. We don't buy companies, unless maybe we're Warren Buffett, but people buy from other people. And even though we go under a big B2B umbrella, at the end of the day, there's still a person or people that are making these individual decisions. So how do we build a strong brand? First, I think what we need to talk about is why branding is important. So companies know who they are. Companies know what they are. But brands know, wait for it. Brands know who they are, what they are, and why they are. And that why is important. Remember, we're not buying companies, we buy brands. And we do this because brands may make us feel a certain way. They may increase our credibility at work. And I'm going to show you a little kind of for instance on this in the B2B space. Give me 1 second here.
Kid, you see a production line producing, I see 1,000 potential things that could go wrong. Electrical, mechanical, pumps, hydraulics, any of that goes down, we go down. Dark, kaplooey, offline, sayonara. Downtime is a real downer. Next thing you know, the bean counters are down here wondering where the beans went. You need what you need when you need it, and that's why I love Grainger. Love. They got everything. Get it? Got it? Good. Grainger, for the ones who can get it done.
Now, that's not meant to be the kind of the be-all, end-all, but that was a for instance where Grainger moved from saying, Grainger could say, listen, we've got 20 things that make us so valuable, you know, in the world of safety and safety space. But what they did was they took a step back, looked at their customers, and said, who are the individuals that really care about the stuff that we're making and the stuff that we're getting to them? And I thought this was a nice example because we tend to think about the B2B purchasing space as very much 100% driven by business value. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So one of the key tenets at Google that we talk about all the time is data beats opinion. So all the stuff I just said, you know, maybe it sounds good, but we wanted to see if this is really true. So we worked with with the company CEB and Motista. And what they do is they measure B2B and B2C customers' feelings about a particular brand. And along these lines, some of the metrics, performance, reliability, value, and we grouped all of those into what we called business value. Not surprisingly, 81% of respondents said if they saw business value from your company, they would definitely consider you. Okay, that's great. So you know there's a but coming. But what can you do to differentiate yourself? So only 14% of these respondents that really felt that a specific company provided these things like efficiency and reliability. Only 14% said, yeah, and I'm willing to pay a little bit more for that. So this really was a surprising result for us even, because we said, so what is it? How do we differentiate ourselves? How do we go beyond this? Because for years, that's what we've been talking about. It's about business value, right? It's businesses buying from businesses. And what I really want to hammer home, if there's one thing we can hammer home today, it's that emotion plays a role in B2B, even more so than in B2C purchasing. So in measuring these same brands, again with the CEB Motista survey, we looked at things like accomplishment, belonging. Did these brands make you feel this way? Okay, so the personal value that a brand brings to an individual trumps the business value by 2 times. And again, that seems surprising because there's in the business purchasing cycle. I mean, there may be procurement teams, third-party business consultants. We tend to feel like it gets very impersonal. But when we think about it, when we break that down a little bit more, for every decision that's being made, there's a lot of interpersonal conversations happening, and that's really an important piece to this, because with business purchasing, we're talking about going beyond just what we think is good or what's a good value for the company. Good value is table stakes. We have to provide good value. If we don't feel like there's good value there, that 81% people, that says they won't even listen to us. But we've got to now go beyond just the business value. So another very surprising result of this study is that typically when CEB and Motista surveys people about companies, between 10 and 40% of them say that they have a strong emotional connection to a brand. And so, we were really kind of nervous as to where this would come out for the B2B brands, and we were absolutely shocked that for the B2B brands that we looked at, there was not only were they at par with B2C brands, but they showed, as much as 70% of the respondents had an emotional connection to these individual brands. Again, why is that? More people involved in the decision-making process. This goes beyond, if I go out and I'm gonna purchase new toothbrushes, there's maybe a new toothbrush that our whole family's gonna get. Well, if they turn out to be clunkers, maybe about $5 or $10. But when we're talking about major purchases, massive amounts of units, you're representing a whole company. This goes beyond just your own personal feelings. It goes to your credibility. It goes to really it affects your career. So it's not totally surprising that people will be more and more emotionally invested because they have a lot more riding on that personally. And again, back to what I said, these are people that are buying. We tend to forget that. Okay, that's fine, Ryan, but how does emotion impact my bottom line? People that are respondents, and let me read this, I don't like to read off the slide, but let me read this because I think it's important. B2B customers with high brand emotional connection are more likely to buy, and they are more likely to advocate your brand to others. And remember, we talked about the purchase cycle, about brand advocacy. People that are emotionally connected are, I believe, 4 times more likely to purchase. They're 10 times more likely to pay a higher premium. Going beyond that, 3 times more likely to recommend the brand and 5 times more likely to stand up for the brand. So really that emotional connection, from the research we have, it does affect your bottom line. I love this slide. If I could print this out and give this to all of you, I would, and Adam here has my presentation, but we call it the brand arc. And I just want everybody here to ask yourselves, silently, where does our company fall with most of our customers on the brand arc? Do we just exist? Are we known for something? Are we known for something I care about? Now, and I think these are kind of the base level areas. Now, how many brands can you say represent you? Even further, would you be willing to forgive a brand? If you're an Apple fan and they put out a new iPad that you don't like, will you forgive them? Or will you, switch platforms? Will you defend them? So I think, again, this is just a good slide to keep in a good kind of visual to keep in the back of your mind as to where your brand sits right now. How do we get to that loyalty? How do we get to that advocacy? And how can we connect with our customers emotionally? So this is a little scary. Emotionally connected customers we found were reported using 21 plus touch points on their path to purchase. So how do we connect with all of them? And this is even 2 times more likely, though, than people who are not who did not report being emotionally connected to a brand. So that suggests that that the more we care about something, let's use an example. If you're taking a trip and you really want to make this a great trip to Hawaii, you're going to do more and more research than if you really didn't, if it was just kind of a last minute thing. And this is especially true, though, when we move this over to the B2B world. We have more research at our fingertips. We have, cell phones. Our mobile phones are never more than a couple inches from us. I mean, we're going to use all the ways that we can to research and connect before purchasing. This slide's got kind of a lot going on, but basically what we looked at were emotionally connected consumers of B2B brands, and were they exposed to a certain type of digital media or not? Of those that were exposed to, say, online video, were 86% more likely to purchase that brand than those who were not exposed to it. So for those of you who digital might still be a scary world to you, really digital is a great place to connect. And I was speaking earlier, and I even hate to use the term digital anymore. There's a term that's being thrown out there called non-line, because frankly we're not plugged into any line to go online anymore. We're always connected, and so when we're talking about marketing, we're talking about it's not digital, it's not offline. It's all coming together. The lines are getting grayer. It's marketing overall. So that brings us to messaging. Advertising is less about integration. I mean, you think about when you're integrating things, you're trying to stuff everything kind of together. It's more about orchestration. It's, you know, think of ourselves as marketers as big conductors and trying to make everything work together. Content is liquid, and like any liquid, it's going to conform to the space that it's in. And what's important is that your message, your kind of brand messaging, your single messages, can conform to the different spaces they're in. So whether you choose, you know, whether a customer is on a mobile device, if they're on, you know, a social site, et cetera, it doesn't matter. They're going to expect you to be there. And if you're not, you don't exist. So really, I challenge everybody here to simplify and say, what's our one message? How can we make that live in all the places that we feel that our media is appropriate to live? And don't get satisfied with the, well, you know, we've got a website, check, we're done. You know, oh, the mobile site's up, great, done. Or my favorite one is we've got an app. We've got an app. Great, Don's team built an app. All right, I'm just gonna go kick back and retire and watch the sales roll in. I'm joking, but the point is that these aren't these are all just different touch points that I'm mentioning to connect with our customers. And what we need to do is truly you know, keep a simple, beautiful message across those touch points so that anywhere your customers can find you, they're getting the same kind of message. So really, you know, to reiterate, you know, make sure that your brand does one of a few things: entertain, inform, provide utility. To orchestrate the messages as best as you can. How does your TV spot fit YouTube? How does your YouTube spot fit TV? And most importantly, highlight the personal value. So again, at the end of every B2B purchase, there's a person or people that are emotionally invested overall. So to some, number one, the path to purchase has changed. Now it's a purchase cycle. Number two, people are emotionally invested. Number three, emotionally invested customers will affect your bottom line. And number four, orchestrate all of your media messages so that they inform, entertain, provide utility, and most importantly, personal value.